Uh, we are live. I'm live. She gonna be here any moment now. Cause she gonna answer that invite that I done sent her like 50, 11 times.
This too much.
There you go. There you
This too
go.
much.
See,
You need to
there
clean
you
your
go.
camera. How about that?
Hold on. My camera's okay. Why you got like 3 or 4 different electronic devices sitting there?
You tried it? No, but like for
Sorry.
real, you got the Jesus Christ like coming across your face like this, like for real.
That's okay. That's my anointing. Stop hating.
So tired of you.
Folks want a man of God, but then when they get a man of God, don't want a man of God no more.
I'm tired of you and that fake little lighting situation you got going on. And I'm not gonna dispute your godliness. I'm just saying.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing the most. I can't team too much. And then he hung up on me, but that's okay. Bless God. I'm gonna stay in the race.
I hung up on you because of
Let me
feedback.
turn on my headphones. I ain't got time for this. Hello, everybody. How are you guys? This has got to be the coolest experience I think I've had in a really long time.
That's awesome.
I'm so glad to be able to do these wonderful, wonderful things with this amazing, amazing man. So
Oh man.
I'm glad he's mine.
We don't be sharing. Mm-mm.
Don't be sharing what? Am I
We don't-
supposed to? Because I feel like I'm not supposed to.
No, we don't share men's.
Wait a minute.
What
Hold
happened?
on. I think that just went all the way left. I don't know. You know the way my brain be working. Anyway, hey everybody. Whoever everybody is. We are
To
having
everybody who's watching now, who's watching later, and for the people who will never watch, hi. Appreciate you.
Thank you for coming by. It's
What does your screen look like?
a pleasure to have you. I am down in the bottom corner and you are on my screen, sugar.
Okay.
You are on my screen. I'm trying to figure out how I am supposed to I think I'm supposed to hit that. There we go, bless God. We just gonna make it big because I got issues and I be needing stuff to be big on my screen.
Okay. You good? You good to go? You ready?
Yeah, I'm good.
That glares from that light that is right
Yeah.
there. Bless
You
you.
know, we're gonna let you be great though.
I
You got
will.
your Jesus light.
But listen,
Your
I'm
Jesus
here.
light on.
I'm here.
And I almost wasn't. But anyway, let's just,
The
be great.
responsibility as your partner is to let you be great, to help your greatness. So I'm not going to throw any shade.
Oh, it's gonna be coming. The shade is gonna be real in just a moment here.
Publicly, I will never throw shade your way.
I know. Such a blessing to have a wonderful husband.
It's the anointing.
That light, there you go, that halo. That
Let's dig
halo.
in, though. Let's dig in.
Let's do it.
First off, like my wife stated, thank everybody for tuning in and watching it, whether you're watching it live now or whether you're going to peep it later on the YouTube channel. This idea of doing the Hangouts and doing videos actually came about before we actually did the scope. Visit her down in Montgomery. We actually sat on the bench and made a video where we talked about our relationship, about people supporting our relationship. We talked about the lack of support for our relationship. We've had tons of conversations. I mean, some very good, in-depth joints about relationships, our past, present relationships, things we don't desire. Uh, the one thing that we committed to each other was the importance of this relationship, not only to each to our children. Uh, we want to make sure that people are able to see an accurate representation of love. That's why we're here to do that. Uh, and we're going to just be having honest, transparent conversations, relationships about Black people specifically, but not exclusively, uh, in relationships. So we're here tonight, and we're going to continue some of the dialogues that her and I have privately. We're going to share some of those things publicly with everybody. You thought, sweetheart?
Um, I missed what you said. Were you asking me to do something? Because I
I was
feel
just,
like,
baby girl, I was just saying, do you have anything that you want to contribute at this point in time?
oh. No, no. I think that everything that you said is uh, what do they say over there across the pond? Spot on. Yeah, there you go.
Mm, mm.
I'm trying to give you a little globalness on tonight, you know.
Right. I'm trying to be great. I'm trying to be great. Well, I mean, there's no reason to actually beat around the bush and act like either one of us is shy. Uh, question last night when me and you were having a conversation on FaceTime. Uh, and I can't remember exactly how I phrased the question, but I had been on social media and I had seen people, a man complaining about uh, taking advantage of him and not showing him enough attention or appreciation, and pretty much just not validating or valuing him. And I can't remember how I asked it, but it led into this conversation where we began to talk about how men, Black men specifically, don't often share the issues or perceived issues that they have in relationships. That there's a stereotype that we know that Black, unfortunately, we're painted often as dogs, as unable to be committed, that we are people who are not able to show emotions,
Mm-hmm.
blah, 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 wah, 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 wah. All those different types of negative stereotypes. But when it comes to females, you
Mm-hmm.
know, they're seen, you guys are seen as far more in touch with your emotions,
Mm-hmm.
always ready for commitment, always down to be in a monogamous relationship. And we know that that's flat out BS. Uh,
Yeah.
the reality of it is, females and males are a lot more alike than I think propaganda has sold us that we're different.
Um, I think actually what you had said was um, you had asked me about what does it mean for a person to lose themselves in a relationship.
Yes, yes,
And so you asked me what did that mean to me, or what did that look like? And I told you that I felt like it was, people losing sight of themselves, so their own personal dreams, the things that their goals in life, solely because they become moms or they become wives. And I said it from that standpoint, of course, because to me, along with the rest of the population, right? You
mm,
only hear about those things from the female standpoint. You never
mm,
hear, men saying those things, or it being like that's something that's attributed to men. Like they don't feel that way at any point. Um, and so that's how the conversation kind of kicked off into, the losing of oneself in a relationship, by people becoming, again, moms, women becoming moms and getting lost in that struggle, and which could lead off into a tangent, but I ain't gonna do it. And then becoming wives, but more so, I think taking on the newness of roles in life. And I can totally see it coming from a man's standpoint, especially someone that is a lot like you. I could
mm,
see it more so for a man's man, like a real stand-up guy having that feeling, versus somebody who is in a marriage or in a relationship for their own selfish benefit. They're just kind of there because relationships are what you're supposed to do, or they're, there for sex, or they're there for whatever reason they're there for. But from the standpoint of a real stand-up guy, I could see them feeling like they get lost in the sauce as well. Like you and I have had several conversations about what we want our house to feel like, what we want our household to be like. When we talk about the kids, we've discussed wanting to do homeschooling, for the kids, whether that be me staying home or you staying home, like whichever way that ended up going. But you've always expressed to me that it is your desire for you to be able to basically take care of the household, like, and for me to be home with the kids and do that. And so I could imagine what that's like for people that are actively in that role. In a sense, we're kind of there now, but because, we're not under the same roof yet, it's a little different. But, with a brother that goes to work every day, whether that's his dream job or not his dream job, I mean, they have goals and aspirations too, that they can lose sight of because they have taken on the responsibility of, being the only person employed outside of the home. There are still things that you guys, want to do, and hundreds of thousands of other men that, do that. And even not even just, like you said, not just Black men, but men in general.
Sure.
And I feel like, men that do that aren't really given a break much in society, let alone the chance to say that they feel like they've lost sight of the things that they've wanted in life. And not that they don't want children and a wife, but there are other things that you want to attain as well in life, and you just kind of get sucked in.
It is incredibly difficult, man, to be in a place as a man where you don't fall into one or two, and that is the trap of being overly macho, where you feel as though you don't need to show any emotion, that you don't need to have anybody's help. Or the other side is the polar opposite of that, where all you need is help. You can't do anything else, blah, blah, blah. It's really difficult in the culture that we live in to remain in the middle, because you're always
Mhm.
going to be pulled. And when you get into a relationship with women, in my experience, depending on the type of woman that you're dealing with, you may have to do a little bit more or less of one of those two things. Because unfortunately,
Mhm.
the reality of it is, uh, everybody's not well rounded in that manner where we in the middle. And I think when you find a mate, when you find someone who is well rounded like that, you have to gravitate towards that. But again, on each side of those, there's a level of difficulty. You
Right.
know, to be in the middle means that I have to be able to come to you and I'm scared, or I'm hurt, or I'm
Mhm.
unsure, or babe, I'm lacking confidence in this area. And set up, those are things that are not often welcomed to be expressed, because there's an opportunity to be taken advantage of. And that has been one of my concerns and my issues in the past, where I didn't want to share those things
Mhm.
because I knew that it's easy for people to have the perception that I'm vulnerable to be taken advantage of.
Right. And it's awful, and it's I guess almost like that stigma that's placed on men. Like, you're not supposed to emote, because if you emote, then it means that you're too soft, and then you can't be trusted, or whatever way that happens. I don't know. And I feel like personally, I feel like people should be able to do whatever they need to do for themselves, and having whatever emotional outlet that you have, you need to utilize that.
Mhm.
I don't think that it makes a man any less of a man because he emotes. He's a human being like everybody else, you know. But I must say that even on my side, like being a female, that's something in relationships that I've had issues with as well. But I think that's because of the type of men that I've dated, in terms of them being on that end of the spectrum where they're almost helpless, like, and they need somebody to play mommy to them.
Mm-hmm,
Um,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
and there have been a couple of relationships that I have been in where they weren't on that end of the spectrum, but they weren't all the way, extra macho, but they were at some like midpoint between being too macho and in the middle.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so they were really shut off. They weren't what do they call it? Like emotionally available and that kind of thing. So they like, so there was this thing there as well, that allowed them to not um emote on that side of the spectrum. And the other side, they were expecting me to do everything, and some of them too emotional. And I'm like, damn, like, get it together.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Where you want to smack them and be like, man up, you know. But again, man, I could, a lot of times when we have conversations and we, like what you said, like when we first had the conversation about you saying that, you know, it's been hard for you to be able to say where you are in terms of your emotions, or that you're afraid of something, or just being able to show vulnerability. I dig it. And I think it
Mm-hmm,
sucks. And I think I told you that like the first time we had a conversation, like, what?
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Uh, but I think that it's terrible that women aren't, I don't know, I want to say not soft enough, like, because you guys need us to be that. But then again, there brings up that conversation of, if you're not with
Yeah.
the right person or the right type of person, they're not going to get it anyway. You know what I mean? And they have to find their person, their softness or lack thereof works for.
And plus the way the culture is set up, and I mention the culture a lot. And when I want to talk about the predominant culture that blacks usually find them in, and whether that be an extension of the hip hop culture, but within black culture,
Mm-hmm.
to be a woman, and I don't often speak about women using or their problems and concerns because I'm not a chick, so I don't have that, that I can just give you my perception and it's completely subjective. But what I've noticed is that women have to have this hard exterior now. And we'll say things like that, but they have to have this this harsh exterior that is almost a masculine
Masculine. Mm-hmm.
quality
Mm-hmm.
to them to be able to navigate in this world. And then, but because they have that masculine outlook, men have to almost dumb down their masculinity and show a level of, for lack of a better term, femininity. You know what I mean? That soft in order for that balance. And I'm directly opposed to that. I'm like, no,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to somehow subtly self to somehow appease and make it
Mm-hmm.
easier for you to be a woman. No, I'm going to remain masculine. Communication, if you're open to that, I'm going to say, listen, you kind of rough on the outside. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What to this place? And I think that's one of the great downfalls to most relationships. We know it.
Yeah.
Adultery doesn't start a man and a woman actually engage in sexual intercourse. Adultery actually takes place long before that.
Yeah.
And it usually takes place with the breakdown of community to two people who are an actual couple.
Yeah.
Uh, and it's really fascinating to me to watch how Black women have an independent woman concept. Now I get it. I'm not here to be derogatory or negative towards that thought process. I say it has been a great hindrance to many who inside desire to have an actual relationship with
Mm-hmm.
a man
Mm-hmm.
and, and walking in his specific gender role. Like, I'm all for gender roles. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you're never going to shovel snow. You're never going to take out the trash. You're never going to call the mechanic for the car. You're never going to have to worry about the repairs on the house. You're never going to have to worry about pumping gas because I believe that there's certain things that
Mm-hmm.
men should be doing.
Yeah.
Like, clear men should be doing. And I feel like women should be barefoot and pregnant and in the kitchen either. I just feel like there's certain things like you're the nurturer.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be the nurturing,
Mm-mm.
be the lover of the children, the lover of you, but I'm not going to be the one who's going to be coddling and cuddling up the kids when they need that. I'm be like, yo, I'll together go see your mom. You
Uh,
understand what I'm saying?
yeah. And I think that that's really dope though. And I think one of the things that we talked about too, pretty much out the gate, was gender roles. Like we
Mm-hmm.
enjoy that. Like we're two people who enjoy our masculinity and femininity respectively. Like we enjoy that. Like and we enjoy that about each other. I appreciate, the man that you are and how masculine you are. Like I appreciate that. Like because I feel like if I wanted somebody that was just soft all the time, like I mean, my personal opinion, I would just be with a female. Like I don't need that. And I think with knowing myself and knowing my personality, I'm loud at times. You know, I can be very I don't know if abrasive is the right word, but I can be that. Like I can be very much
I
so
don't
that
think
whole
abrasive.
it can get pretty bad. Like my mouth is really like left sometimes. You know what I mean? Like if I'm put in certain situations, I'm liable to say or do something, anything. But
Sure,
I think that's a human thing. But
I can do.
just knowing me in terms of and knowing myself in relationships, um, I've been that person and I've not enjoyed being that person. So something that I really enjoy about us is the fact that we do openly communicate about everything. We communicate about our feelings, where we are, what we like, what we don't like, what we're going to entertain, what we're not going to entertain. And of course, that was like early on conversations, not so much now as far as the entertaining of things, but uh, like I appreciate that because it helps me to feel comfortable with you and comfortable in our relationship. I'm comfortable in, what we're planning, secure in those things. And I think that that's, something else that we as women look for is the security of it all.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
and so I appreciate being able to feel like I'm protected. Like even with us being miles apart now, I feel protected. Like I know that no matter what happens, you got me.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? I don't have to like question that and I don't have to like toss and turn and because like things happen so rapidly, I don't ever have to second guess talking to you about anything. You
Yeah,
know what I
yeah.
mean? Like it may be, it's always going to be more so me trying to figure out how to say something as opposed to actually saying it because it's going to come out. We are uh absolutely each other's best friends and we enjoy our gender roles. We
Hmm.
appreciate each other for allowing each other to have those roles. And we want to fulfill those roles for each other. Because we know the other person ain't gonna do it for themselves because they are firm in their in their role.
Yeah. And when for the folks who are watching this now or watching it later, we're going to talk a lot about our relationship and where we are and how we got here. But that's not to say that how we got here is the blueprint.
Right.
You know what I mean? That you
Right.
have to follow that. That's not what I'm saying, but I do think there are certain things that you should be doing. Like as a man. my responsibility, I believe, is to create an environment for her to feel safe. And when I say feel safe, I'm not even talking about, like somebody gonna try to attack her, issue or concern, but it's more along the lines safe for her to be herself.
Mhm.
Like, I don't ever want her to feel, and never wanted her to feel like two different people or multiple people. Like, if she's with me, she's one way, but then when she gets with her girlfriend, she's another way. When she's with me, she's one way. When she gets with her family, she's like, no, you
Mhm.
must be you at all times. Like, because if you're going to do that, we're not going to work. I need you to feel comfortable that you can be that person who feels that they're abrasive, that person who has doubts, that person who is overly confident, whatever, thing that you're putting on that day, that you know that no matter what shift in your personality per se, that you're always going to get the same. And I think that's really important. And I think because people have been so hurt in relationships that they've been in the past, that they often put the you do things to try to prevent conflict before they get to conflict instead of conflict proofing their relationship.
Yeah.
You're not going to have conflict. It just means that when conflict comes, you guys have set a foundation to be able to navigate that conflict without it having this huge fallout. Like,
Right.
being comfortable enough to bring something that you perceive as an offense and something that can be totally a mistake, miscommunication, misunderstanding, whatever the case may be, but to be able to bring it to you and say, hey, this is how I feel. And for us to
Mhm.
say, okay, and get to a point where it might be, your feelings was trash, so right? Like, your feelings were
Because
put,
we've been there.
your feelings were based off of something that had absolutely nothing to do with you and I. But
Hmm.
instead of not just saying, oh, blah, 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 we walk through that process knowing that, okay, so I don't need to argue with you about XYZ when more than likely it has nothing to do with XYZ. But it's all
Right.
about creating that safe place for your partner to be able to come to you and share anything. And I had this long before me and you got together and got where we are today. I always had this dream of being in a relationship where I can share with my wife any and everything. Like, I
Mhm.
mean, any and the ability to know that she may check me for what I've just done. She may be mad at what I've just done, but we have such a firm foundation. I don't have to worry about that old extra stuff, like
Yeah.
just flying off the handle,
Right.
bringing it up 90 days from now after we done walked through. This has been forgiveness, it's been sorry, it's been blah 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 blah. But one day, man, remember when you did? No, 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 no.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? I
Mhm.
just because people have not set up a firm foundation of expectations of
Mhm.
what they're going to be able to give and what they desire,
Mhm.
they find themselves just going and just constantly rewriting their relationship all throughout the time that they're in. Like, every time they turn around, they've created a new, dynamic for their relationship.
Right.
Worse one. They end up in some old bipolar type stuff. Like, one day is this, one day is no.
Or in a relationship where they feel like, oh, when I first got here, you were this way, like this, oh, you changed. I hate that. Like, that is so annoying to me. And I feel like people are them all the time. And people tell you who they are. I don't know who that quote came from. It magically came from Maya Angelou one day when I was online, but I don't know. But I am a firm believer in the fact that people, they change, like people evolve. You know what I'm saying? But people don't change core stuff about them. Like, you're not gonna wake up one day and and I just don't believe this about people. And maybe I've just not feel like people will just wake up one day and be absolutely 100% different.
Yeah.
It's a process over time. And a lot of times what it ends up being is that uh, the person has shut down in some area of the relationship. And so because they've become, cut off or hardened to that area, now they don't care. You know what I'm saying? They become a duck to the situation, like I like to say, and it's just rolling off their back because they don't care, you know. Um, and I wanted to say, even to your point about um, what were you saying about people cheating or uh,
Being able
affairs?
to affairs, sure.
Like I don't believe in the whole homewrecker thing. Like I don't believe that that exists.
Either.
I don't believe in that. What I believe is that people again walk away from their relationships without expressing it to the other person that they're in the same relationship with, or even if they have made up in their mind, like, this isn't what I want to do. I want to find somebody new. Like nobody can just, like right now, where we are, and I believe even in the beginning stages of us, there was no way in the world that some random woman could just walk up to you or inbox you or whatever the case might be and just say, a couple words and just automatically pull you away from what we were talking about and what we were building, even though we didn't get into this with the intent of it becoming what it is. But
Sure.
I just don't believe that. And I
Mm.
just don't believe that because I know that you were so into what we were in our building and vice versa. Like that just wasn't the move. You know what I mean? So if a person is willing to walk away from you, that means that they were available the entire time to
Mm.
be taken from you. You know what I mean? They walked away. They weren't taken, actually. I guess it, would be
And
better to
and it
say that.
falls in line with the fact that too many people be robbing people of choices. Like when me and you began to move to the point where we start talking about being together, having a future together, like it was some real upfront honesty. Like
Yeah.
this is what I'm about. This is how I get down. This is what I'm into. This is what I ain't into. These are things that
Mm-hmm.
are deal breakers. These are things that about I don't know about, but what I do know is I'm trying to be with you. How
Mm-hmm.
can we make that happen? You know what I mean? And it was a process. And I think that's where people get lost in this whole notion of the change. If you are in a relationship and your mate hasn't changed, hell wrong. Like something's way off. Like love, I believe firmly that love makes people grow, which
Mm-hmm.
translates into change. You know what I mean?
Yes.
As a man who's in love with a woman, you want to do whatever you can to make that relationship and hope that it goes to a new level. So that
Right.
may mean that you have to do some things different than what you are, even if it's something that you've had. It gets to a point where it's like, man, do I want to change that or do I want to lose her?
Right. Because those should be
It's
questions that are asked of yourself.
rocket science. People have turned relationships into Chinese math. Like it's not that difficult. It's really like, hey, I'm gonna be here and got to make this successful. You gonna be here? Okay, you are cool. Let's go get
Right.
something to eat. You know what I mean? It
And
ain't
I
really
think
that.
that's the same at any aspect in a like any point in a relationship. That's what it is. And that's what I enjoy about us. I enjoy the simplicity of us. I enjoy just the core foundational stuff of us. Like all of the extra stuff is great, but it's not necessary because I am just so elated about us.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like just the simplicity of life, man. Like, and knowing, like we've talked about all of these things, all of those changes, all of those, things that are possibly going to come. We talk about them, but we leave them in the future where they are until we meet them. And I love that about us. Like I enjoy that about us. Like I can honestly say that even if, marriage wasn't a have to, but that's
Yeah,
a whole
yeah,
nother video, right? So
yeah.
even if marriage wasn't a have to, that I would be with you. Like like hands down, there's no question about that. Like, even if this was something where marriage wasn't the goal, or the have to, in order to do certain things that we want to be able to do, I would 100% still be with you.
Sure, sure, sure. Absolutely. And
We've gotten all the foolishness out of the way. It's great.
yeah. And I just think that people love come into relationships, man, with unrealistic expectations. Like
Mm-hmm.
on some real unrealistic type of expectations. And I'll take it even further to the point of that unrealistic expectations of we're having a great time here, but at some point in time things are gonna fall apart. Like that's an
Yeah.
unrealistic expectation. You are,
It's not
you know what I
fair to
mean?
the relationship.
It's not fair to you. Why would you want to be in a place, in a predicament where at some point in time you're gonna get hurt? Who does that? Like, I'm gonna put myself in a position where the potential of me getting hurt is high.
And then I just boom, jump off the cliff
Yes, like on
for no damn reason.
relationship,
I'm just off. I'm
but
just
it's
over.
a great chance that I'm gonna get betrayed here. Use a
It's like,
phone.
why do you even get in a relationship? Why are you there? Like, we all, and you know, it's kind of, to me, it's starting to get into that conversation that we had earlier, when we were talking about, the onslaught today of questioning, and that's probably, not the nicest way to put it, because at any rate, when you get to that point of realizing, like, if it works, okay. If it doesn't, I'm still the one that has to deal with these things.
Mhm.
And I feel like I hate that people get into relationships like that, with that mindset of, oh, so there's a, 50% probability that, this person is going to treat me just like my ex treated me. And I have to be on guard, and I have to be waiting for that to happen. Like, I have to sit on the sidelines, but try my best to be actively trying to run for a touchdown all at the same time. And again, to what you were saying, as far as like creating that safe place in that environment for me to feel like I can be one person all the time, like one person doing multiple jobs, as opposed to feeling like a bipolar individual. I have to
Mhm.
be this person here, I have to be this person there, I have to perform this way, or whatever the case might be. I really hate, and it annoys me when people do that. It's kind of like Ruben Pfeffer in Along Came Polly. Like,
Mhm.
everything that he did, he had to plug into a system to find out what the risk of it was, or how safe it was. That's kind of how society, does when it comes to dating, and even with marriage. Marriage has become
Oh, in
this, like,
general, sure.
right.
Mhm.
Everybody's not the same, but again, people show you who they are. People will show you even tendencies of things. Now, there are some people who are really charismatic, who are really, great, that, can mask those things, and then you get to know them, and then they, you know, but 9 times out of 10, they've shown you something
That you
that's
just chose to
tipped you
overlook.
off.
Sure.
Right? Like my girlfriend says, like my girlfriend Cicely says, you paint the red flags pink.
Mhm.
You just
Mhm.
take your little white paint and just put it over top of the red flag, and it's pink, and you feel like, well, it's okay for me to do that. I really, again, and this is one of the things that I appreciate so much about us, and one of the things that I wish I could just convey to everybody who has something so incredibly negative or concerning to say about us. Uh, we have we both came out of really crappy relationships prior to us, like really, really crappy relationships. And there is no way to describe how this happened or why this happened. You know what I mean? And to be able to have
Mhm.
the level of comfort that we have with one another, the level of understanding that we have with one another, the communication we have, the love that we share for each other, the love that we share for each other's families, all of that fun stuff. There's like no way to, convey that to people. And I really wish that I could. Like, I really wish I could just come up with like a synopsis and just give it to everybody that just, that just tries to say that we shouldn't be together. Because we came out of some things that honestly the average person probably wouldn't be able to go into the next relationship for years behind.
Sure, sure, sure. But there's this notion, though, that reason that coming out of one relationship, there has to be this time frame that no
You
one
have to
that,
put
that no
yourself
one
together.
actually knows what it is. No one knows the length of that time frame that you're
Right.
supposed to have in between your relationships, because somehow you need to rid or just with out of your conscious, out of your soul, as if that is a possibility. That's not even logical. The key is, and the reason why people, there's a level of fear attached to that, that you want to give yourself that time just in case. Like, you know, but when it comes to love and finding something that is satisfying and pleasing, as short as hell that life is, you don't have the time to sit back and be looking and trying to figure out and trying to break it down. It doesn't say, it doesn't mean that you go into the relationship blind. It just means that you go into the
Mm-hmm.
relationship assed out honest, like flat out on some, this is who I am.
Mm-hmm.
This is
This
what I
is where I
want.
come from. This is where I am in life.
This
This is
is
what I want.
this is what I ain't gonna
Is you
do.
is or is you ain't.
If you if you ready to ride with me, let's ride. And as a
Mm-hmm.
man, felt and feel that it's a man's responsibility to create an environment that their mates feel absolutely safe in. So that means some stuff that may seem a little unfair or out of the ordinary, or just you're not really comfortable with. But if it means to create an environment where your mate can just say, okay, I'm safe here. I can love
Mm-hmm.
you now. Like
Mm-hmm.
I don't. Whew, what a load off. You ain't gonna. I can freely love you. You know what I mean? And it opens up the floodgates for so many other expressions of love. So when dudes is complaining about why their wives are not doing X, Y, Z, my question to usually to them is, what are you doing to
Mm-hmm.
foster an environment to allow them to? If you're doing everything that you should be doing to foster that environment, it's on her. Now she is fully responsible. But if you ain't create the environment to allow her to bloom and blossom, that's what I, as a father, that's one of the things that I wanted to do for my daughter, was to create her to feel like she can be herself, like she can be comfortable. When me and you start talking, like, listen, I don't need you to be like this today, up tomorrow, and you just on some other stuff. Is this you 25, 8? Because if it ain't, let's have a different discussion. You know what I mean? Yo, I see things in you that I don't think that you've ever gotten an opportunity to tap into because of what life has thrown your way, you've made, situations you've been in, X, Y, Z. I want to see you blossom.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see you get to that, chasing your dreams and living that life. And I want to help you get there. And I don't have anything to lose with you getting there.
Mm-hmm. Because it's a part of the environment. It's a part of what you set out to create. And
Sure.
I think that uh, with the environment that you've already created for me and for Jalen, and with knowing those things about you, knowing how much you love me, how much you care about us, and those things, though, that allows me, like you were exactly what you were just saying, it allows me to love you beyond everything else, like to give you what you need as far as
Yeah.
the respect of it all, the love, the affection, the attention, all of those things. It makes me want to do that, even though I want to do that already,
Mm,
but having this feeling of I'm safe.
Hmm.
I'm wanted, I'm loved, I'm cared about, I'm cared for. Uh, all of just having all of those elements together, it creates a amazing relationship. And I think because we're two people who have been through so much and have dealt with so much and have always thought that the relationship that we share with one another was something that all relationships should be like. And we found out through life that that's not how it always works. But now we have that. Like, who's walking away from that? Who's about to be the fool?
Yeah.
Nobody.
Yeah. And I mean, for me, I absolutely agree with you. There's no walking away or not being with you is not an option. It doesn't even exist in any universe. That's just it up. But I think when it comes to black women and black men dating each other, I just think that there has to be a level of that this idea of people not coming into relationships with baggage is foolish. It's not realistic. Uh, Everybody has baggage. Everybody's coming into a relationship with baggage. They're coming in with
Mm-hmm.
different size baggage, different sizes. Some people's coming with
Mm-hmm.
baggage inside of baggage, but being honest, like, yo, if we're going to be together, part of your responsibility is helping me carry my baggage to the point where I'm ready to put my baggage down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And vice versa, but not on some like, oh, I want this person to come in without this and that. Listen, you have every right to have that type of preference and to have that type of, want. But I think you might want to just put some reality on top of all that and realize that
Right.
everybody has baggage. It's how people how they're coping with it. And you have to be honest in the middle and the beginning of your relationship with people by showing them some of your baggage and letting them see. Letting the other person see your baggage is going to show you whether or not they're going to be able to carry the heavy stuff. Because you know your heavy stuff. Let them see. And if they can't carry that light stuff, if they drop that every time, and you know you ain't ready to move past all your heavy stuff, what you got the bill? You know what I mean? Just for being on that level of honesty. And I think by us type of videos and talking about our relationship and other relationship stuff is to shatter the myth that people can't have strong, viable black relationships. Like being in love and being monogamous and staying true to your gender roles is not possible. That's a lie from the pit of hell. That happens all across this world. And we're here to show y'all folks like, yo, you can do this. You can be loved, you can be respected, you can be validated, you can be appreciated. It ain't even
And
on
whatever
some
comes,
it's just like, yo, you can get that.
but I think that a lot of it has to do with people being honest with themselves. And I think that that's a
Mhm.
first step. Most times and it is the most difficult thing to do to be upfront and honest with yourself about you.
Yeah.
Now you can sit down and you can blog and you can Facebook and Instagram and chit chat about people all the time and their flaws, but it is hard sometimes to look in the mirror and be honest about yourself. And then to be vulnerable enough to share those things with other people. That is a really big thing.
Yeah.
And man, I almost want to give myself a pat on the back right now. Like, because one thing about me is that I don't really
I think you should.
do that too much with people.
I,
So I'm not do that too much, but
I know what you think, sure.
I've
I
been
think it's
convicted
fair
of
for you to do that.
oversharing.
Well,
You know what I mean?
I don't even call it
But I
over. I selective sharing. You know what I mean? It's you share a lot, but you are in absolute control of what you share.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And when it comes to people being honest with themselves, you're not going to be able to be in a success and demand honesty of someone else,
And you ain't giving it.
and you ain't giving it to yourself. Like one of the
Well, that
things
too.
about relationship is if she you check me on something that I'm doing wrong, or I've said wrong, or I've did XYZ, I don't automatically have to run to put my defenses up.
Hmm.
I don't automatically have to run to that, oh my gosh, she's attacking my manhood place. You know what I mean? Because of that foundation, that not a concern. It's like I can actually focus on what you're saying.
Right.
You know what I mean? Instead of acting like a defensive. So no, 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 no. You didn't say that the right way. I didn't say that. You know, all the technicalities that we want to bring out when we're having those type of discussions. I can
Yeah.
actually listen to what you're saying and hear your heart and be like, you know what? I never even noticed that.
Hmm. It's kind of like the
Let me,
difference between hearing and listening.
yes. You know what I mean? It might be something that, this is why I do it. It's not justification, but this is why. I don't know if it's something I'm going to be able to change, or maybe you can help me through the process.
Right.
And we can walk together, like without worrying about you throwing me away because I do XYZ.
I'm telling you, it's a really, really beautiful thing. I feel like it is really, 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 really wonderful what we have here. And I'm so excited to be able to share with people um, everywhere, like what we do, and not making it seem as though, you know, our perfection has to be everybody's perfection. It's
Mm-hmm.
just sharing the things that we've learned in past relationships and in this relationship, just sharing our thoughts and kind of how we operate and kind of conduct our ship here. So I'm
Hmm.
really excited about doing more of these and talking about more of the things that you and I have discussed, and just what I deem such a wealth of knowledge that exists between the two of us. So I'm excited.
Yeah, yeah. And just for the people, man, we don't consider ourselves, perfect in the idea of relationship. Do know is that we're perfect for each other. So that allows our perfection together to spill out and for people to be able to see it. And hopefully you take some tidbits and you take some stuff that we've done and try to apply it to your own situation, maybe to reinforce something, to change something,
Hmm.
maybe something that you've experienced that you want to share with us. We're open to that. Like, listen, we're all
Absolutely.
about gaining wisdom, learning and getting a better understanding of this. Uh, that's what we are.
This is almost like a first time for us. Well, I know for me, I don't know about him, but for me, this is kind of like my first adult relationship. I love it.
Oh, okay. I had to go back and find out what virginity we were losing. I wasn't,
Oh Lord Jesus
wasn't
Christ.
quite sure
I don't want to talk about the
which
virgins, Jesus.
we was
In the
losing.
shackles, wait, what?
The hangout virginity, or
Oh man, he gets on my nerves, but I love him so. But I'm just excited, man. I think this is going to be really great.
I opened the show up. I think that means, we're gonna close. Can you close it out?
What am I close it? What am I close it out with? Well, I ain't got no tagline. What I'm supposed to say?
A
I'm supposed to
tagline.
tell them peace in the Middle East. What I'm supposed to say? Do people say that? No, with my own self.
Oh.
Woo! We do need some over there, though. But anyway.
But hey, if you guys who are watching this, whenever you're watching it, thank you. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, criticisms, anything. Uh, you can find both of us on every possible social media platform out there.
All of them.
The last one, I mean, she's on ones that I didn't even know existed. Like, I was
You
like,
trying to be funny?
what the hell is Blab? Like,
Oh yeah, I love Blab. You should get on there, love. I'm telling you, you should do
you
that.
know what I mean? But you can find us anywhere, or you can send us an email at safeplace525@gmail.com. That's safeplace. Hopefully, I don't have to spell it for you. 525@gmail.com.
SAFEPLACE525
You notice
Because
she didn't spell
sometimes people
five two
don't
five.
listen, and I probably wasn't the one to spell that because even though I can be extremely articulate, I still have a really terrible accent. So, or like, is that an E or an F? Well,
Hmm.
at any rate, this has been wonderful. I hope you guys come back and join us over and over and over again and share positive, negatives, neutrals. We're here.
This is a safe place for anybody to bring your stories, whatever, man. I mean, you won't be beat up here.
Because ain't nobody got time for that.
I promise you, on the next show, that my anointing might will be turned down.
I'm so turned down for what? No.
But all right, y'all. It's 1:30 my time. You know, 8 where I am.
12:30.
So we gonna be up anyway. It ain't gonna change nothing.
It ain't.
Till next time. We out.
Bye.